If you go ahead and buy one of these bowling alley style units with a layout that kind of sucks, you're going to have yourself a hard time selling it when you need to sell it in 3 or 5 years.
The Toronto condo inventory is out of control. We have seen an 80% increase in inventory year over year. So today we're going to go over an article here we have from stories.com that is titled just that. The investors have disappeared. Toronto condo inventory has now increased over 80% in 1 calendar year. If you're looking to discuss real estate in the Greater Toronto Area or the Toronto real estate market, feel free to contact me at the number here on screen. Shoot me a text message. We can discuss whatever's going on in your head and figure out what makes sense for you in the current real estate climate, because not everybody should be taking action in the current climate we have right now. So we're going to go over the article here from stories.com once again. We'll break it down, we'll go through it. If you have any questions about the article or you want to discuss it, don't hesitate, reach out to me if you want to, and I'll give you my analysis at the end of the article. So without further ado, first-time buyers look at what they are getting and they think, I am not interested in these types of particular units for this price. This is the subheadline here from the president of Realosophy. So in June, the Toronto Real Estate Board reported more than an 80% increase year over year in the active condo listings. This month, the market continued the lopsided fashion in July with nearly a 64% increase in active condo listings compared to the same month last year. Active condo listings totaled 8,979 in July, reported the Toronto Real Estate Board, which was up from last year, which was 5,416. So we have seen almost a 4,000 unit increase in the condo market. On a broader scale, just last week, quarterly numbers showed that the listings in Q2 2024 jumped a staggering 83.5% from the same 6-month period in 2023. At the same time, sales have been on a slump for months. While condo prices have remained fairly sticky, the experts are saying that the result is that there is a surplus of inventory that isn't becoming more appealing to would-be buyers anytime soon. Why, in the midst of a massive housing crisis, are there thousands of condos sitting on the market untouched? In short, the culprit is the high interest rates, but interest rates are persistent nationwide. So why is Toronto's market in particular suffering at such a high degree? Let's start with who would be condo shoppers. If you think about the entry point for first-time home buyers, the condo segment is a key point of entry for them, says Jason Mercer, chief analyst at TREB. First-time buyers are also the most sensitive group of buyers in the marketplace. They don't have any equity built up in their current home that they own because they don't own one. The first-time home buyers with their lack of equity are then doubtfully disadvantaged when you add high interest rates into the equation. So already a large portion of would-be buyers are being financially shut out of the condo market. Without end users buying up the condos, this leaves shopping to the investors. But why would investors buy a condo at the time when the rents aren't high enough to cover the monthly mortgage payments and when most Toronto condo investors are cash flow negative? It's a great question. The answer is they're not. Investors have completely disappeared, says John Pasalis, president and broker of Realosophy, and the majority of what we've been building are these tiny units that are geared towards investors at the end of the day. This brings us to a unique characteristic of Toronto's condo market. The surplus of these shoebox or studio one-bedroom apartments. For decades, the federal and provincial government decided not to prioritize construction of rental housing in Canada and in Ontario more specifically, and the gap in rental demand was filled by these investors buying condos and renting them out. The investors were disproportionately buying the smaller units because they're less expensive and because the net return on the rent was better for these units than the bigger ones. The result is that the majority of the product on the market was built to fulfill investor demand, leaving us unit types that aren't appealing to end users. First-time home buyers look at what they're getting and they think, I'm not interested in these types of units. They're not getting a lot more than 400 to 500 square feet in these shoebox style apartments generally. A longtime Toronto realtor at Realosophy says that these bowling alley style units are so popular amongst investors and they're moving very, very slow or not at all, but that ultimately comes down to the quality of the space. There's still some one-bedroom units that are selling at quick paces and they're getting great value if they have a nice terrace, for example, or south facing, or have a really nice den that could potentially be used as a second bedroom. When priced right, they are moving, but those awkwardly laid out bowling alley style units just are not moving. The only way it will sell is if somebody discounts the price considerably to see if they can attain some attraction. But of course, many sellers are refusing to lower their prices which first-time home buyers cannot afford. Hence the condo market standstill. In the meantime, the sellers that can will continue renting while the others will bite the bullet and sell in hopes of funneling their equity elsewhere, like the King Street condo that recently sold for $320,000 below what it was listed at or what they had purchased it for earlier this week. But many will hold out for the market to swing back as the favorable rates continue to lower. The philosophy agent thinks that it could be a while before the sellers gain back some of their power. Anybody who has a condo to sell should just sell it, in his opinion. And if you can hold on, you're probably going to have another year or 2 or 3 before things get better. Mercer says that initially it will be the buyers who benefit from future rate cuts. We're seeing a lot of inventory buildup, and so as interest rates lower, buyers start to move off the sidelines. They're going to ultimately benefit from best of both worlds. Those worlds being ample choices and more affordable mortgages. So you won't necessarily see prices start to rise right away. But in the medium and long term, things will start to shift. If we don't see more new home completions, then eventually all this condo inventory will get swallowed up and we're going to get a tighter market condition appearing back again with more competition between the buyer and the larger buyer pool, putting some pressure on these prices. And if a wider variety of unit sizes targeted at end users aren't a part of the new home completions, there will be additional strain in the market. You're gonna have to have a scenario where there's less inventory than we need of certain types. There'll be a mismatch essentially, and that leads to tighter market conditions and upward pressure. So as you can see, as we've gone through this article here, the type of units that are filling the market right now are a lot of these smaller studio or one-bedroom apartments that have really poor layouts. A lot of these were originally purchased by investors, which makes a lot of sense. They bought the most affordable units, knowing that they could get a rent that would cover a lot of their mortgage payment, if not all of it, put some money in their pocket, and it was the lowest cost of entry to get into these developments. But now we have first-time home buyers and end users who are looking at the condo market and saying to themselves, how am I going to fit my stuff in 400 square feet? What if I work from home? What if I have a significant other, a pet, or a spouse? A lot of these condos are just not feasible to have multiple people living in them. Is it possible? Absolutely. But you are really going to have to think long term. If you're going to buy one of these condos that has an ideal layout, you're going to pay a little bit more for it, but your resale optics are going to look a lot better for you down the road because you probably are going to live in that condo for 3 to 5 years generally, and then you're going to want to move on to something else. If you go ahead and buy one of these bowling alley style units with a layout that kind of sucks, you're going to have yourself a hard time selling it when you need to sell it in 3 or 5 years because you're going to have the same concerns that you have as a buyer on the buying side in 3 to 5 years. The buyers are going to come through and they're going to say, this layout is not ideal. I don't really want to pursue this particular unit. So as a buyer, right now you have all of the leverage, and I would not use that leverage to buy a layout that is not ideal in any way. Even if the price was really good, you have to weigh the pros with the cons. Do you buy something now that's a really good price that you might have a difficult time selling in the long term? Or do you pay a little bit more, still get a good deal because there's so much condo inventory, and find a layout that's actually suitable to be resold at a reasonable price in a reasonable time in the future? These are just a few concerns that you need to really think about before you pull the trigger to buy a condo in the Greater Toronto area. If you're buying in Toronto specifically, you need to understand that the condo market is extremely saturated, and depending on what you want to do with that condo long term, it may or may not make sense for you to pull the trigger. If you're buying something outside of the GTA, let's say you want to go to a Cambridge or a Guelph, for example, the condo prices have definitely slipped from where they were even 12 months ago. So you're going to be able to get something that's a lot more affordable, but we're still seeing a lot of the same things. We're seeing the sellers not quite adjusting to what the current market conditions are. So we're seeing this inventory of units build up, whether it's condos or condo townhouses for that matter, because we have not seen the sellers come to a concession on, I'm not going to get what I thought I would have got 12 months ago in terms of a sale price. If you want to discuss your particular options a little bit further, reach out to me at the number here on screen. We can have that chat. If you want to actually book an appointment, you can click the first link in the description box down below, and we can start chatting about how crazy this current condo market is. My name is Mike Carpino. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.